and welcome. You're watching Newsx and I'm Megha Sharma, and we were talking about the disturbing goon-like behavior that was witnessed yesterday by the Pakistani Defence Attaché at the Pakistani High Commission in London. He is gesturing that he will slit the throats of those peaceful protesters. He was holding the placard, the poster of Abhinandan Vardhaman, who very bravely entered into the Pakistan airspace and destroyed those F-15s that had been released by the Pakistanis to attack the Indian Air Force. Let's start this conversation. Ambassador Funchok Stobdan on the telecast with me. Ambassador Stobdan, which diplomat in which part of the world have you seen making such disturbing, shameful gestures, something akin to a criminal or a gangster or a roadside goon, acting in such a brazen, shameful way? Does this behoove a man of a stature such as this?
Well, I don't think that fellow was a diplomat. He doesn't have the
qualification. He's the defense attaché of in the Pakistani High Commission. And irrespective if he is a military man in the Pakistani army, again the question, does it behoove a man of a stature such as this? And then they talk about the joke that the world laughs at Pakistan because they don't take Pakistani leaders seriously.
No, what do you expect? The whole nation is like that. It's not just a defense attaché. I have dealt with all these guys throughout my life at various missions. They are, what you call them, they're uneducated, illiterate. The problem with Pakistan is that it's a cocktail of mullahs and the journals. So they produce this kind of a, funny kind of people who cannot even have a diplomatic sort of normal norms display. So not just that, even the families I have seen, children, they are taught like that. Everywhere in the Pakistani embassies outside. So it's you can't expect anything from them. It's not just the defense attaché who has done this posturing. I have seen that photographs of those three guys were supposed to be the militant shot somewhere else. They are also doing this ISIS posturing, Islamic State posturing of, cutting your neck. That's increasingly now being displayed by Pakistanis everywhere, whether it's military, diplomat, or the terrorist. So it seems that it's a well prepared, well thought out kind of a psychological warfare. That or they are trying to say that, look, the ISIS kind of situation is coming. That Ghazwa-i-Hind is only going to be about this. It's not a bullet is going to be fired. It's a different kind of a military campaign which they have in their mind. So we need to be prepared accordingly.
Okay.
It's a very shameful thing. We should condemn it.
Surinder Singh Lali, coming to you and talking, it's not just about the uneducated within the Pakistani leadership. When you have the Oxford and the Cambridge educated Bilawal Bhutto, who comes out and said that there is going to be bloodshed. I mean that's your inciting hate, inciting terror, all for the pressure that is on you because of India taking those strong steps. And there is going to be a complete economic collapse after the Indus Water Treaty has been halted by India.
Thank you, Megha. And as Ambassador Stobdan rightly said, he used the word uneducated and illiterate, but I'm going to just keep the uneducated bit for the diplomats and the illiterate bit for the journalist. And through your prestigious channel, I'm going to respond as a proud Indian Sikh. That on Sama TV yesterday, quote opens, one of their top journalists says, Pakistan has displayed the Sikh card by keeping Kartarpur open for Sikhs. We have done this to fuel Hindu-Sikh rift in India, quote close. So that ought to give you the idea of the level of journalism. Forget the diplomats, because they don't even know 101 of Sikhism. I mean, Sikhism is a religion which is our gurus purely sacrifice their children for the sake of religion and motherland. And my reply as a Sikh to them is that no, thank you. For us, our country comes way before our religion. I mean, Nanak, really said throughout his life, his biggest message was that humanity is the biggest religion, and what they did in Pahalgam was absolutely inhumane. And, now in the diplomatic bit, Megha, I've been traveling the world for about 30 years and pretty much as a non-diplomat, but as a student of geopolitics, I have stayed and dealt with many Pakistanis across the world, and purely based on my experience, I think after Nigeria, or maybe they've beaten Nigeria, they're some of the biggest crooks, scamsters, and drug peddlers across the world, and not to mention the grooming gangs in England. And now I'll tell you the reason for this also. There was a book fest in Lahore just 4 months ago. And at the Lahore Book Fest, there were 1,200 shawarmas, 800 biryanis. Now, any guesses for how many books were being sold? 35 books. So if this is the kind of investment they are making in their education, obviously then the way their diplomats and defense attaches and the journalists are behaving ought to be like this. I mean, a country with this 78 years of its existence, only 7 years has their income been more their expenses. It's a begging bowl country, which is purely based, and the very inception was on the basis of religious bigotry. And I was no surprise that, and I think the embassy staff really came prepared, because the big cutout that they had, I'm not too sure if they have those professional printers in the embassy, so they came prepared with the photograph of our Abhinandan in it.
No, but it is shameful what they portray and go gaga over and pride themselves as a victory was the fact that they captured Abhinandan Vardhaman on that fateful day, and spreading false narratives that were being bought by the likes of BBC and New York Times, that there were 2 trees and a crow that were hit in the surgical strike, the Balakot surgical strike. So this is their level, which is deplorable. That and to make things clear, they had to release Abhinandan because of the protocols of the convention that is that has to be adhered to at the international level.
Megha, if you watch their recent minister who was on an English channel, an American channel, I believe Sky, I found that
British.
More hilarious. I mean, forget the journalists and the diplomats. I mean, it was hilarious because my 17-year-old son has more logic and rationality in his conversation, and I'll just complete in 60 seconds. Quote opens, he says that Pakistan is a victim of terrorism for decades. No other country in the world has suffered as much as Pakistan. And then in the same breath, lo behold, he says, we have been backing, supporting, funding, and doing the dirty work for 3 decades, and that was a mistake. So for me, which I also said on another channel yesterday, this is similar analogy to a young child who murders both his children and then goes to court to plead clemency because he's an orphan. So that country is absolutely messed up. I don't think the right hand knows what the left hand is doing. No prime minister has ever completed a term. The current most famous guy who got the maximum votes is sitting in jail. And one last point is, if you notice that when Pulwama happened, that time Asim Munir was the DG ISI. And now, after that hate speech and then Pahalgam, so there is all a method to the methodology, because they have failed, their armies also failed. I mean, the entire army is Punjabi influenced, and now Imran Khan's party has even dug a hole into that. So the whole country is one big nautanki and a drama and a headache and a cancer on the face of earth. And I'm so happy that our Honorable Prime Minister has a strategy, and it's only a matter of time. And I think what's killing them also is is that they don't know what's coming their way, and what's coming their way is going to be huge. The entire world is going to witness that, and it's about time that Pakistan is put back on this place.
General P.K. Sehgal, as had been pointed by Surinder Lali, the fact that he has spoken this on an international media platform, the Defence Minister of Pakistan, Quaja Asif, he is cornered because the question that was asked by the interviewer was that does he admit that Pakistan has been repeatedly, systematically funding, supporting, training terrorists on its territory. And his remarks are that he has been doing this at the behest of the Americans and the British for decades together, for 30 years and more. Now, in a comment such as this, one, he is admitting to the fact that terrorism continues to be the number one export of Pakistan. And number two, he is putting the blame on the Americans and the British for the terror attack that has happened on the soil of India in Kashmir. Now, how is Pakistan going to be able to salvage itself from the war it has inflicted upon itself from India?
Absolutely, totally. Pakistan is a victim of its own doings. The Pakistani Defence Minister has openly admitted that they've been doing this for 30 years. In fact, they started doing this only at the behest of the Americans and the West when the Soviet Union came in. The Soviet Union was there only for about 11 years. The very fact that he's admitted that he's doing it for three decades further goes on to prove the depravity of to what level they've sunk. If you remember, even Musharraf has gone on record to say that they started using insurgency as an extension of its foreign policy since 1989, and they wanted to inflict 1,000 cuts on India through terrorism. And then he also goes on record to say that people like Bin Laden, people like Hafiz Saeed, people like Dawood Ibrahim are their national heroes. They are worshipped in Pakistan, and they are permitted, despite all what they've done for the good or bad of Pakistan, they are given a super VVIP treatment. To the FATF, they've shown that they are lying in jails, but even in the jails, they're given a super VIP treatment. And Pakistan has been doing everything under the sun to protect them. There's layers of security that has been put around them. And even today, when they know that they have the biggest liability for Pakistan, even now they are protecting these people. And now they are buckling under pressure. I totally agree with Lali. They just have no idea what is going to hit them and in what way is going to hit them. Psychological warfare, if any, is now Pakistan is under psychological pressure of its own making. They have no idea what the Indian army or the Indian nation is going to do, whether they're going to hit them, hit their army, whether they're going to hit ISI, whether they're going to hit air assets or the army assets, or even they're going to sink the navy. So there's an absolute and total state of confusion. On the other hand, they're surrounded from three sides. Baluchistan Liberation Army is attacking them. Only yesterday they killed 10 more of their soldiers. Pakhtunkhwa, the TTP is active. In Afghanistan, the Taliban is active, and they're saying that what they've done is absolutely horrendous, diabolical, and they've been siding with India in totality. The biggest chatka for them is Bangladesh. They were wooing Bangladesh, and they were wanting Bangladesh to act against India. Even Yunus has gone on record to say that what Pakistan has done in Pahalgam is something absolutely diabolical, horrendous, and completely unacceptable.
Yes.
No Muslim country, not even one Muslim country, has risen up in favor of Pakistan. In fact, 8 of these Muslim countries have given their highest national award to our Prime Minister. Imagine almost 65 Arab and Muslim nations, एक भी पाकिस्तान के पक्ष में खड़ा नहीं हुआ.
Yeah.
All Prime Ministers, Presidents are ringing up our Prime Minister and saying that whatever action you take, we are with you. The Israeli Prime Minister called up and said any sort of weapons that you want, any sort of cyber warfare capability you want, any sort of electronic warfare capability you want, any type of whatever you want from us, we are there. Macron this morning rang up and said the same thing, that we are there. Putin has rung up the same thing. Even the Chinese are keeping quiet. There is no way that Chinese will come to Pakistan's defense unless and until we pose a serious threat to their CPEC, where they've invested about $65 billion.
Okay.
and I'm very certain India is not going to pose a threat to CPEC, nor do we intend invading and militarily taking over POK. We are very certain that what is happening in Pakistan, it's only a question of time. POK itself will merge with India, Pakistan, and we only need to give them not only the moral support, economic support, political support, but we also need to give them the money. In the international arm bazaar, all weapons are available, and if they start insurgency, even the Pakistani army or the Chinese army will not be able to tackle it.
Okay.
For each insurgent, you need at least 100 people. That's what our experience.
Ambassador Stobdan, I'll come back to you. And this strategic backtrack that has been done by the Pakistani leadership and the Pakistani politicians, from going about saying that there is no presence of Lashkar-e-Toiba on its soil, talking about India is fantasizing, India is under this communication that has come from India. India is targeting Pakistan. It has in fact gone on and now told the offshoot of Lashkar-e-Toiba, TRF, that was responsible for the attack, to go and deny in public forum that the attack was orchestrated by them. The blame is now being put on India, that it was the Indian cyber intelligence that breached into the social media accounts of the Lashkar-e-Toiba outfit, TRF, and put out false information, making a claim that they were the ones who were responsible. In a situation such as this, when the Prime Minister of Pakistan says that they are all in to participate in a fair and independent probe, who will believe Pakistan?
No, it's a well calculated, it's an assessment of the Pakistani establishment. They think that, look, Russia is busy with Ukraine, so nothing can be done. Israel is busy with Palestinians, fine. Trump is busy collecting money here and there, won't come for Indian rescue. The Chinese, the Indians don't get along. And then they say, Modi is not popular. He's a dictator in the world. Nobody likes him. Domestically also, Mamata Banerjee and all that stuff. So they have a overall analysis of what's happening. And they find it's the right time to attack India. So they've done it. And they have not given up those assets, Lashkar-e-Toiba and others. They have been there for quite a long time, despite all the difficulties. The problem has been when the Baluch were trying to create problem, nobody gave attention to them. The Afghans were doing a lot of things at the border. Nobody gave a damn to the Pakistanis. The Iranians were attacking them. Nobody gave a damn. So they are diverted now to Kashmir. Now, Kashmir, yes, it now is getting the attraction. The whole world is looking at India, Pakistan. So it's an old thing. They want to repeat the whole thing again. Okay, Kashmir, 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 Kashmir. Because it sells. It sells in the international market. So it works, and terrorism is an old tool which they will always use it. So I don't find any new strategy, same old strategy in a new context. The new context is the world politics has changed. They think it's the right time because US is not settled as yet. There are a lot of problem happening in the United States. Yeah, so that's their, the fact that the terrorist said, go and tell Modi. What is he trying to say? That fellow is saying, look, he's trying to link with the domestic politics. Okay, Modi is not hated. Modi is hated in India. Therefore, he's saying, so look, I'm doing this on behalf of the domestic audience of India. So it's a very well thought out sort of a strategy. Somebody has to analyze it properly.
Okay. Surinder Lali, now in a situation that has arisen, how does Pakistan justify that Lashkar-e-Toiba does not even exist on its soil? When you have Hafiz Saeed, who was some time ago behind bars, he has been given a political platform to found a party and fight the elections as well. And there have been extradition demands that have been made by India time and again, since the 26/11 attack happened to extradite Hafiz Saeed and be brought to justice in Indian courts, and Pakistan has time and again refused India's extradition demands.
Megha, honestly, you said that Pakistan wants to justify. I don't know if anybody is looking for the justification. I mean, any individual with the IQ of more than a housefly would want to buy the justification. I mean, I wouldn't even call this as an admission or a Freudian slip or what, their Minister of Defense said, because they are now cornered, as Ambassador Stookden rightly said, that this is Pakistan's, strategy is also a strong word. I mean, this is a desperate attempt to ensure that their country doesn't dismantle, because doing this, now where is Imran Khan's issue? It's on the back burner. Now where is, Dr. Baloch? So obviously this is what Pakistan does, is they will simply bring the Hindu card, the two-nation theory. I mean, I don't know. I mean, two-nation theory, you got yourself another nation, and again, 2025, you're still saying that we can't live with Hindus. I mean, there aren't any Hindus left, there aren't any Sikhs left, there aren't any minorities left. So what are they talking? They are talking absolute nonsense, and unfortunately, the West bought their argument only because they needed them to do their dirty work, especially the Western forces. First they needed them to dismantle USSR, and now with the war on terror. But the irony is, Megha, the irony is that God forgives, but karma doesn't. They fleeced the Americans for a long time. They were in bed with Taliban, and they, took America for a royal ride. And now with China, again, they fleeced China in the Belt Road Initiative. And to top it all off, they seem to claim that, they're the custodians of Islam. I mean, what happened in Pahalgam? Who's suffering? It's the same religion that Pakistan seems to be the big boss of the ulama of Islam. I mean, it's 99% people in Kashmir who will now not benefit from the tourists not going there. So not forget their own nation or neighbors. They use even Islam and the Hinduized Islam, that the more they try and run away from, the more it catches to them. I mean, I'm a Punjabi, and 67% of Pakistan is Punjabi. And not only has the Punjabi army failed Pakistan, I have absolutely no qualms in saying they are now even trying to do away with Punjabi. Our ancestors came from Mughal and this and that. I'll pay for the DNA check. Please get check. End of the day, you're all Sanatanis.
Yeah.
As much as you want to run away and call, Mir Jafar or Mir Taqi Mir your grandfather. Sorry, that's not the truth. Pay for a DNA test.
All right. On that note, I'm out of time. I thank all of you for joining me on the telecast.